Okay, let's dive right into this explainer of mysterious photos that no one can seem to explain. We all rely on photos to basically document our reality, right? To freeze a moment in time exactly as it happened. But what happens when the recorded image completely contradicts what the people who were actually there experienced? Well, that is exactly what we're going to unpack today.
It's a pretty compelling question, isn't it? What hides in the background of ordinary photos? Think about it. When we snap a picture, our focus is almost always on the main subject, right dead center in the frame. We rarely pay attention to those far corners, the deep shadows, or, distant reflections. But as we're about to see in this explainer, the mundane often conceals the chilling. By just shifting our focus a few inches across a photograph, an entirely normal scene can instantly transform into a profound mystery.
Because, you see, at the end of the day, a camera is fundamentally just a machine. It doesn't blink, it doesn't get distracted, and it definitely doesn't filter out visual data the way our human brains do. It just captures whatever light hits the lens in a fraction of a second. And because of this, a camera can permanently record details that completely escape the naked eye in real time. Which brings us to the core of our exploration today, 3 specific photographs that appear completely ordinary, at least at first. So let's open our first case file.
Case File 1. The car. Our first investigation centers around a super common, everyday scene, literally just a casual snapshot that took a very, very sharp turn.
At first glance, it's just an ordinary photograph of a man sitting in a car. Honestly, you wouldn't look twice at it. But when you zoom in right near him, the details reveal something entirely different. There's a ghostly face sitting right there in the back seat.
Now, to truly understand why this specific anomaly is so highly discussed, we gotta look at the timeline. Shortly before the photo was taken, the photographer's mother actually passed away. Then comes the day this photograph of the man is captured. Afterward, when the photograph is finally developed, that's when the face is noticed. So this timing connects the creation of this image directly to a period of intense, very real mourning.
And that brings us to a specific quote from our source material. Many believe the figure resembled her. Now look, we're not here to endorse the paranormal or state as fact that this is definitely a spirit. What we are doing is examining the reported phenomena. The fact that the figure in the back seat is believed by so many to resemble the recently deceased mother, well, that turns an oddly lit, strange photograph into a deeply personal, grief-stricken mystery. It's just a powerful example of how human context can completely change how an image is perceived.
All right, moving on to Case File 2, Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. So we're moving from the totally mundane setting of a parked car to a location that just inherently carries a heavy atmosphere, really priming our expectations as observers.
And this brilliantly illustrates the central conflict we're talking about today. The photograph clearly shows what looks like a young girl, just sitting among the graves. Yet the stated reality from the source is that nobody was there when the photograph was actually taken, so we have this massive, direct contradiction between physical reality and visual evidence.
Nobody was there when the photograph was taken. Let that sink in for a second. It's one thing to capture a weird shadow or an optical illusion, right? But it is an entirely different level of unexplained phenomena when a human figure clearly appears in a space that the photographer swears was completely 100% empty.
Furthermore, we've got to consider the specific location here. This figure was captured at Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, which is widely known as one of the most haunted locations in America. Whether you believe in that stuff or not, this infamous reputation absolutely adds a massive layer of dread that just fits perfectly into the existing folklore of the place.
Case File 3, The Abandoned Mansion. Now this one taps into a very specific, highly relatable human fear: decaying, forgotten spaces, and that deeply unsettling feeling of being watched from the dark.
So, according to the source, this photograph was taken looking toward the window of the abandoned O'Hare Mansion in Greencastle. And the result? What appears to be a woman can be seen standing inside. Think about that. An empty, ruined structure suddenly contains a human figure just staring back out at you.
Nobody reported seeing anyone standing in the window. Much like our second case file, the true mystery here lies in the discrepancy of the accounts. The eyewitnesses who were looking at the abandoned O'Hare Mansion in Greencastle, they saw nothing but empty glass and dark rooms. Yet the photograph tells a completely different story. The camera literally managed to capture an entity that was entirely invisible to the human being standing right there in front of it. Crazy, right?
So, what remains unexplained? Well, as we look at these 3 distinct visual anomalies, a real pattern starts to emerge. These aren't just blurry smudges, they are instances where the mechanical eye of the camera completely contradicts the biological eye of the human being. And I think they captivate us so much because they challenge our fundamental trust in our own perception. If a camera can see things we can't, what else are we missing in our daily lives?
Let's methodically break this down across our 3 scenarios just to see how it all builds. In the car, an ordinary man in the front contrasts with a ghostly mother in the back. At the cemetery, an absolutely empty gravesite somehow produces a girl sitting among the stones. And finally, at the mansion, an abandoned window frames a woman standing inside. In every single location, an empty scene is permanently altered on film.
Which leaves us with a very unsettling final thought for this explainer. Think about your own camera roll for a second. Think about all those pictures you snap super quickly and barely even look at before swiping to the next one. Based on the mysteries we've unpacked today from our sources, I have to ask you, what might you find if you zoom into the background of your own photos? Thanks so much for learning with me today, and hey, keep your eyes open.